All right, let's talk about patching and applications. All right, so this is your computer. It has an operating system. Each one of those components of an operating system allows you to gain the functionality of what the computer uses. Each one of those functionality components is at times a separate application. Now, each one of these applications and the operating system is literally computer code. Now, because it's computer code, there are going to be vulnerabilities in it, which means that there are going to be a capability for an exploit to take that vulnerability and gain access to your computer in some way. So that includes access to the data, access to the system itself, or access to specific areas of the data. Now, either way, we now have a problem because the bad guys are writing malware that targets that vulnerability. So if it targets that vulnerability, it literally means that the malware that has been written has the capability of taking over control of the system. Now, if it's taking over the system, then you have no control. So when it comes to the requirements of how do we stop this from happening is where patching really comes into its own. Now, patching is all about having the capability or adding the flexibility of being able to stop the malware without having to worry about other things. Because what it does is it allows us to take the system itself, created by the manufacturer. We get a new piece of software that comes in and removes this capability, that vulnerability that used to be there that was being exploited by this piece of malware. Now, each vulnerability has a specific piece of malware or exploit that targets that vulnerability. So if I remove it, then there's a very good chance that that piece of malware will not gain access to my system. Now, all of the operating systems, it doesn't matter whether it's a Microsoft product, it doesn't matter if it's Apple, it doesn't matter if it's Linux, now has a dedicated update system. Now, the updates are really critical to securing an organization's components against a malware attack. Because if the malware is targeting a vulnerability that we have closed down, then there's a very good chance, like 99.9% of the time, it will not be able to get that foothold that it needs to be able to cause us major problems. So when we're looking at patching and updating our systems, we need to do it regularly. We need to do it when they tell us. Now, there are areas, things like what we call zero-day exploits. Now, a zero-day exploit is an undiscovered vulnerability that has been discovered by either a cyber criminal or a researcher, and the people who make the software haven't got round to fixing the problem. So all of these components literally means that if we patch the system, we are increasing the security requirements around that system and making it a lot more secure. So when Microsoft on the second Tuesday of every month comes up and says you have updates, you don't have to do it straight away, but it is recommended that you do it within a reasonable amount of time. A reasonable amount of time, 7 to 14 days. In that time period, you get a chance to hear if something has happened. So the internet is going to be saying that these things have caused major problems. If it's a major problem, it will be reported in some way. Applications are the same. Applications, when you open up an application and it is attached to an update service, you will probably get told that you have to update the system. Now, if you're like me and pretty stupid at times, when it comes up and does that, and you opened up an application, say you opened up Adobe Suite and it has an update. Now, you've got two ways you can handle it. One is you do what you're doing, need to finish whatever you have that capability of. Once you've finished it, close down the application, open up the application again, and then patch it, and you don't have to worry about it ever again. The other alternative to that is when it comes up and says you need to apply patches, just apply them. Go away, have a cup of tea, come back and you're now a lot more secure and safer than what we were before that.